Hi there. Welcome to The Drive with Dan Nedelko. That's me. And we're going to talk about business and growth. I took a little break from the marketing drive a few years ago and refocused on Live at the Hive with my other business, Honeypot Marketing. And I've been thinking and talking a lot with both my employees, my team, and some of my peers, some of my friends about what I wanted to do in the world of content creation. I landed on The Drive. And the reason I decided that was because I wanted to expand a little bit further outside of the limitations of simply marketing, which is the focus of Honeypot Marketing. Been around since 2004. It's a digital marketing agency, got a great team around me, have a lot of fun working with clients and the right types of clients. And I wanted to focus a little bit more on some of the things that I've learned over the years in business and differentiating some of the things that we're seeing out there these days. We're hearing a lot about hustle and grind and side hustles and startups and scaling. And I feel like a lot of people are using the wrong words to assign to what is a traditional business, what is a small business, which I have a lot of respect for. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I can't remember the last time I had a traditional salary type job. And so I do look at myself as an entrepreneur. I do look at myself as having created Honeypot Marketing and creating a safe harbor, both for my family, for my team, for my clients that I've worked with. However, we're not a startup and we're not intended to scale. And I think a lot of people get that mixed up these days just because of the sexiness of the startup business, looking at businesses like Airbnb and SpaceX and Elon Musk and all these things we see on social media. And I think we need to take a step back and understand the difference between being an entrepreneur, having a small business. For example, in the province I live in Canada, Ontario, 97.8% of businesses are small businesses between 1 and 99 employees. Now, where I live and in Canada, we won't get going about taxes, but maybe I will talk about that a little bit later. The vast majority of the focus of what is discussed are these major mega corporations, Facebook, Google, Meta, Shopify, and good on them. They've gone public and good for them. My personal opinion is Google should be smashed into about 100 different pieces. I don't think that companies that size are good or healthy or have a conscience or have ethics or morals. They're more amoral, but I won't go down that rabbit hole right now. Focusing on what this podcast is about, I'm going to not kind of freewheel. I want to talk about my experiences with business, with digital marketing, with software and technology, with building a team, with building scalability, building stability, and how to do it. I bootstrapped this thing from nothing. And I hear a lot of people, have very, very highly polished presentations about bootstrapping and joining their community, et cetera. And I'm not against joining communities or having a community based on that, but I want to take a more practical, pragmatic approach. I want to look at this as very much in the trenches. I'm doing this in real time. And I figure, at times I feel like I don't know what I know, but I think I have a good handle on knowing what I don't know, if that makes sense. It's a little bit confusing. I'll give you an example. I have a degree in computer science and mathematics. I'm a software developer. I'm also a marketer. I consider myself full stack across software development and marketing and communications. I grew up in a household. My mother was the first national accounts advertising manager in Canada in 1981. She's got a long history. I grew up around kind of Mad Men style marketing communications. People decided I was never going to go that route, and I ended up kind of going full circle in a very different way. But this podcast is intended to be short. It's not going to be long episodes. They're going to be snackable bits of content. I'm going to try to keep it on par, but I'm going to talk about building, growing, diversifying, creating stability for your business, and not focusing on some of the sexier things, like a bit ridiculous, but things like hustle. Not every business, for example, is going to have an e-commerce store. Not every professional services is going to, engage on Instagram. However, we live in 2024, and whether you like it or not, you live in the digital age. You live in the information age. I think that's what we're going to coin this in future generations, is where we're living. It's a pretty amazing time to be alive, and the rise of social media and the rise of some of these platforms are astonishing. And how do you deal with that as a business, practically on a day-to-day basis? How do you rationalize and understand how this can profit, and how you can do so in a good, reasonable way, so you as a business person understand that? And also from other perspectives, if you're younger, how do you start a business? What does it mean? What do you need to do? Do you need to incorporate? Can you stay as a sole prop? How many bank accounts should you have? How do you pay your taxes? How should you file? How should you take care of your books on a day-to-day basis? Should you use QuickBooks, or should you look at NetSuite? There's a lot of topics that are really glossed over, and I want to talk about that. And I do have this overriding need and urge to talk and to promote my views, or whatever you want to call it. But that's the intention of the drive. It's practical. It's going to be real world. It's going to be real life. And just as an example, some of the things I will talk about are, and I will focus on technology. It's kind of my sweet spot. But I also do want to talk about things like, how do you enter the digital age? How do you manage your finances? How do you plan for upcoming quarters? How do you manage scalability and growth? What does that look like? Should you hire onshore? Should you hire full-time, part-time? Should you hire by contract? How do you build a team? How do you get out of your own way? How do you delegate properly? There's a fine line between delegation and ignoring the issues at hand. I've made all of these mistakes, and I've learned all of these lessons. So I hope you join me. I have it in my mind that this is going to be a simple production. It is not going to be elaborate. I am sitting currently in my office, my home office, where I work from the majority of the time. I'm using Adobe Podcast Studio, which is a fantastic kind of beta new product. I'm reducing that production time, and I want to be very clear and very open about it. The equipment I have is, it's not completely basic, but it's also not high end. Kind of learning from professionals that I talk to. Also some of the topics I would like to talk about are, how do you move fast without getting out? Like, how do you get out of your own way to move forward? How do you ensure that you're not handing the keys over to someone that may not deserve to have those keys handed over to? How do you ensure that you're in the good graces with our glorious lords in the government? And taxation is a big topic. These are big topics for the vast majority of people. And I don't want to limit this to something so oversimplified as TikTok will save your business. It won't. You need to have guardrails, infrastructure, experience in place. You also need support. You need a peer group. You need a mentor group. And you have to find the right people, the right time, and you're in the right way. And I'll give you a quick example before I wrap up the first Welcome Back episode. For a long time, I had imposter syndrome regarding finances. I am not a finance guy. I'm not a finance person. That's not my sweet spot. I've never been trained in it, but I've done it. And I've learned as I've gone for the last 20 years. And had some stops and starts, and with poor financial planning, with not understanding what needed to be taken care of and what needed to be done, and also delegating it away too far beyond an arm's length. So when we look at that, one of the things that I've done most recently is decided to dive headlong into finances and taxes and bookkeeping and accounting. And what I have learned the hard way is I know more than I realize. And I think you do too. That's a very important point to make. You know more than you think, and you have to have that confidence in yourself to dive in and address these things head on for the success of your business, because your business is your life. Your business is your family's security. Your business facilitates those happy moments that last a lifetime. That's how I look at this. And so I want to welcome you along for this journey. This is a bit of an intro, and I will be shooting these on a very regular basis. So I hope you join me. Please subscribe to the podcast. If you're hearing this on social media, please follow. You will have a link there to subscribe easily to the podcast. And the podcast is hosted at dannedelko.com. All right. Thanks so much. And we'll see you on the other side on the next episode of The Drive, Business and Growth with Dan Nedelko. Take care.